This is Charlie Johnson, and I'm in Pittsfield, Massachusetts this afternoon with Amy Hebner and Dana St. Pierre, husband and wife,
Yep.
and the founders of Cider. So we're looking forward to talking to you today and hearing about how Cider started and some of the early financing issues that you faced. So first, Amy and Dana, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So my education is I have a bachelor's degree in English from NYU, which is useful. No business training whatsoever, so I have no idea what to do with it. And then I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York City. And got some actual business training and how to sort of run, a solo business as a health coach. And that kind of led to Cider, even though I didn't really think that it would.
And Dana, how about you?
I have some practical experience running a business. I used to have my own bike taxi business, and I made and sold bike taxis and operated them. So I had some very rudimentary business experience. And I also went to school at a place called the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts and learned a bunch of hippie healing arts stuff. So that's me.
And how long have you been married?
5 years, I think.
Not sure.
No, 5 years this year.
5 years this year.
5 years. Yeah.
And did you talk about starting a business before you got married, or did it was that part of the deal?
No, I don't think so.
No, not at the time.
No, I was just doing my health coaching, and Dana was working, doing like maintenance. It was like the job that was available, so he was doing it.
So how did Cider come about?
Well, we moved back to the Berkshires in 2009, and
Yep.
the economy was in 2009 terrible, and so we were working various jobs around here, and a friend of ours was having a winter market and invited us to come sell some of our teas and tinctures and strange remedies.
Right, because I was making things for myself and for my health coaching clients. I found one of Dana's books and was like, oh, cool, I can make all these like medicines that I'm buying in the store and just make them at home. So they knew we had all these concoctions.
And what were some of those medicines?
We had, so at the very first market that we did in December 2010, we did eye pillows, which had lavender. You put them in the freezer. They didn't sell very well, or at all. And then we had echinacea tincture, and we had some dong quai, which is sort of like a women's tonic. And we did some tea. We had like a little winter survival kit because it's the Berkshires and that's kind of rough. So there's some St. John's wort in there. And then we had Cider, which we gave samples of because we were certain no one would buy it because it was weird.
And how did you come up with the recipe?
The recipe was, I evolved it over a number of years. My German grandmother used to feed me all sorts of strange German home remedies, like horseradish.
And you're here today to tell the story of it. So you survived.
I survived. Not only that, I really honestly believe, at the time, even though I hated taking this stuff, I knew it was good for me. So like congestion, I would eat shredded horseradish, have onions and garlic soaked in honey as a cough remedy. So just I had evolved. I wanted to take something that was effective, but I also wanted it to taste good, and so I had mixed and matched and added this and that, and read old books of folk remedies, and had evolved it over the years. And when we moved back to the Berkshires, Amy was getting sick quite a bit, and so we started making more, and not just making more, but I had never had a recipe. I had just thrown things in jars, and so we started to try and standardize the recipe so that we could repeat, if a batch tasted good, so that we could make it again and have it taste good.
So a lot of trial and error.
Oh yeah, a lot of trial and
Yeah.
error.
But it's a big step to go from a home remedy to try to get through the Berkshire winter to actually starting a business.
Oh yes.
Right. Yeah, we didn't start out thinking we were going to go into business making Cider. We just did a craft fair. And then Cider sold really well.
We sold completely out.
Right. We sold out of it. And
where was the craft fair?
It was, so there's a group called Alchemy Initiative, and they don't really have a location, but they have different events in different places. So this was at the old Notre Dame Church. It's called the Shire City Sanctuary now, which you can, Shire City, say a lot. Yeah, so, and that's kind of part of why we decided to be Shire City Herbals, is because...
That's the name of your company.
Yeah, because Shire City is like a, sorry, is a, like a nickname for Pittsfield. But
Okay.
it sounds nicer than Pittsfield.
Okay. And so you decided to start, so you sold the fire cider at the fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it sold better than all the other
by
offerings?
far.
Yeah,
By far.
like combined.
Okay.
And we actually had people coming to our house because the Pittsfield people knew where we lived. They drank their bottle and they came to our house and they were knocking on our door going, can I get more?
So you came home from the fair and it was a holy smokes moment?
Well, sort of. And then we kind of started looking into like what it would take to make it like legitimately, like
Yeah.
not in our kitchen at home.
So what did you do?
I decided I didn't want to do it.
Why?
Because I was like, oh my God, this is going to cost a minimum of $10,000 just to even like get barely what we need. And it's making a food product basically like that. It just, there's so many, like the FDA is involved and the health department is involved, and I don't want to get involved with them.
There's many different bureaucracies that you have to tangle with in order to have a legal product to sell.
Right.
And it was daunting.
So, and Danny, you've got a little bit of a financial background?
A tiny bit.
Okay.
My mother was actually a bookkeeper when I was growing up, and I used to go into work with her. So I had the barest minimum of familiarity with sort of generally how you do business bookkeeping.
Did you talk to her about starting a business?
I didn't actually. We didn't really. We should have. We didn't consult with any number of people who we should have consulted with.
But you somehow you thought, well, this is going to cost $10,000. How did you arrive at that figure?
I put together like a preliminary, like, what do we need to buy? What are we going to need? Okay, so we need insurance and we need packaging, we need labels. And when I got to the labels, that's actually where my brother came in, who is the third like co-owner and partner. And yeah, just a laundry list of things that we needed. And we actually couldn't get insurance for like 9 months. Like I tried to get us insurance for 9 months, and I was kind of like, maybe we got this far and no one will insure us. So, yeah.
And take us through the regulatory requirements.
The first thing you need is a certified kitchen, which is a challenge. You can't make.
And what is a certified kitchen?
It's a commercial certified kitchen, so there's a long list of requirements that the kitchen has to meet, and then it has to be inspected by state level inspectors who give it that certification. It's all sorts of stuff like cleanable surfaces and floor drains, and there's a whole long list that I don't have in my head.
Okay,
Right.
So you have to have a certified kitchen, and what else?
Amy handled. We talked to a friend of ours who was a manager at the Berkshire Co-op, and he said to be on the shelves we needed insurance, we needed a barcode, and we needed an FDA approved label.
Right, and a supplements fax panel was a bonus.
Fax panel.
Okay, so kind of quickly take us through those elements. So to get the FDA label, what did you have to do?
So that's when my brother came in, because I was like, oh my gosh, I have a million things to do, and I need to learn. It's like this huge list of rules for the label. Like you really need a lawyer to like decipher it for you, which is what I was told when I called up the FDA, and they were like, yeah, just hire a lawyer. And I was like, not going to do that. Okay. So my brother took over that project, which we joke is still not finished. Like he's redone the labels. He's redoing them again. Like every 6 months, something needs to be changed. So he did that. I sent in samples to Cornell University. We did this thing called the schedule process, which is just, are you making a hazardous product, and do you need to have a certain like step-by-step plan that you write down and the government approves and you follow every time. We got it lab tested because our process, like you can't, like if you have a cookie recipe, you can, go and figure out the nutrition information yourself if you wanted to do the math. But because our process is different, we had to get it lab tested, which costs like 4 times as much money. So that was exciting.
And how about the barcode?
And then the barcode, you can only get the barcode from one place, which is GS1, and it's this company that does all the barcodes for every product in the country. And it's about $800 for, it's up to a certain number of barcodes, but we're only making one product, so we just needed one.
So you have to fill out an application and send it to them?
Yeah,
and
and then you renew
it
it every year, I think.
And how long does it take for them to get back to you?
It's not too bad. Your screen went blank. I don't know if it's still there it is. Okay, it's back.
It's each individual process I think took 4 to 6 weeks if I remember correctly, but a lot of them required parts of the other process. So to get your scheduled process approved, you needed to have your nutritional information in line, and in order to have your label done, you need to have your nutritional panel completed. So it took Amy.
And then you need to get a wholesale license. You need all that stuff to get a wholesale license. So it took like 9 months.
And what was the total cost of getting the various permits?
I don't remember
More or
the
less.
breakdown, but it cost us. We spent $10,000 in 9 months, and then we had product that was ready to sell.
Okay, so there's a 9
and
month,
it was saleable.
a 9 month period
roughly
9 month period from the time that you said we're really going to go for this,
Yep.
to the time that the product was on the shelf. It was about a 9 month.
Yeah,
period.
until the time my brother actually started calling stores and saying, "Hey, I have this weird thing you've never heard of. Let me send you a sample. I think you'll really like it."
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the process of actually making the fire cider.
So when we first started, we were in the certified kitchen we found was actually 2 blocks down the street from our house at a Unitarian Universalist church. And they very kindly allowed us to use their kitchen. The process when we initially made it, we actually didn't have enough money to buy food-safe containers to make it in. So we drove around town to all the grocery store bakeries and got their discarded 5-gallon frosting pails.
Right, because it was the food grade that we needed, and it was free.
Yeah. So that's how we got our initial vessels to make our product in, was by begging for free.
Sounds like
A+
bootstrapping to me.
Yeah. So it took us like a month and a half because grocery stores only have 1 or 2 at a time, and we needed 40 if I remember correctly.
I think, at the end we had almost like 45-gallon buckets that we were lugging around by hand and making in the kitchen.
So we collected all these buckets and we would take them to the kitchen and wash them out and sanitize them. And then the process we used to make it is we put vinegar in the pail, shred all the produce into the pail, put the lid on it, and we would hand carry them down the stairs into the basement, and they rest for 6 to 8 weeks. And then we take them back upstairs and we feed them through a juicer.
By hand.
By hand, at the time by hand. And then we mix the honey in and then bottle the product. So that's it.
Okay. So let's go back to the $10,000 that you spent during the first 9 months during the startup phase. Is that all broken out in your business plan? Does your business plan itemize that?
I think so, more or less, because I spent it down to the penny.
Okay, so we'll be taking a look at your business plan, so that will all be spelled out.
It should be, yeah. I mean,
and then before we close, tell us about your plan for distribution and marketing.
When we first started?
Yes.
We didn't really have a distribution plan.
We didn't. I wouldn't call what we did. I wouldn't say it was guided by much of a plan, other than go to the nearest places closest to our house, and with a bottle and pitch them in person. Like, try this. We sold a lot of this at this market. We think you can sell it.
So you walk into Guido's Market, or you walk into the co-op, and you go in the front door, and where do you go? Who do you talk to? The person at the information desk?
Yeah,
that's where we'd start.
Yeah, I mean, the first place to carry us was Dottie's Coffee Shop, and friends of ours who we went to high school with own it, so that was easy.
That was an easy one,
right? And then I've known, so the former grocery manager at the Berkshire Co-op Market actually now works for us, and he's our operations manager. And I've known him since like first grade, so he was ready to start selling it. You know, when we came back 6 months later, surprised, he was like, "Oh, you actually did what I said you needed to do. You can sell it. That's cool." So he had it in like 4 places in the store pretty quickly, which was great. So there's a lot of really great community in the Berkshires that kind of like just was like, sure.
But yeah, we would go to a store and ask to talk to whoever was in charge of the supplements department. And sometimes that was a huge runaround that would take weeks because people are busy and we're just some random people off the street.
Right.
But eventually we would talk to whoever was in charge and we would try and get them to try a sample and explain what it was, because we're trying to sell this thing that most people have no idea what it is.
And how often did you get a yes and how often did you get a no?
My brother did a lot of work. Like sometimes it would take months to get into a store, months of conversations.
I think our average at the beginning was 1 store out of 3 would actually bring us on. Before we had any kind of reputation or any other examples to point to of, oh, this store sells it and it's doing really well.
Right.
Right at the beginning, like 1 in 3 stores. And it really depended on the decision maker. Some people tasted it and they were like, I don't like vinegar. Get out of here. And that was as simple as that. The decision maker just didn't like sour flavors, and our product is sour. And so get out of our store.
It was an uphill battle.
And at the outset, it was just the 2 of you, and then your brother helped.
Yeah, Brian. So once we actually had a product that we could sell, it was a lot of me doing paperwork and stuff online, sitting in my office upstairs in our apartment and just doing work that I wasn't getting paid for. And so once we were actually ready to start selling, like he'd been working on the label. And then when we were able to start selling, he was the one that was actually selling Fire Cider. Like the 3 of us would all go to events, we'd all make it in the kitchen, but then, Dana and I had different things to do. We didn't actually have time to like try and market.
Were you guys
and sell
each
Fire
working
Cider.
Other jobs?
I was working another job. I was still doing private health coaching, and then I was also working for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I was coaching their current students, which was cool because I actually had like kind of a regular paycheck, which was really nice. And
I was doing maintenance work.
You were doing maintenance
work. So I had a
work.
full-time job.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, this is wonderful background, and thank you for sharing all of it. And we will stop here and